Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. It really means a lot to me. I got asked a question today from a recruitment agency. Hey, what are we doing wrong? Why aren't sites using our services? As someone who's owned sites for 20 years, let me tell you, I've tried. First of all, we'll start with the fact that the basic premise. Finding an experienced researcher or a coordinator is the rate limiting step in this industry. So if you ask any site, any site that's been established for a while and has no problems getting studies, any CRO, any sponsor, any tech vendor in the space, the rate determining step, what limits the growth of that company is not the lack of opportunities or funding, it's the lack of qualified staff. And at the site, there's no better example than this. So let's start with that as the problem first. When you have a recruitment agency, in theory, they're supposed to, you're going to pay a premium as a site to use that person, that staffing agency, to bring you a qualified coordinator. Now that coordinator, the way these are structured, either they're not going to pay that recruitment agency anything and the employer is going to pay them, or there are some models where the employer pays them, like there's an arbitrage. So like the employer actually pays the staffing agency and then the staffing agency pays the coordinator. Only relatively desperate people will do that. And at the site level, if you have experience and you just want to go work at another site, you don't have to be that desperate. You probably know other staff at other sites. You probably met them at investigator meetings. You probably, if they're in your community, which they're going to be because coordinating is a local job, you probably know the sites. You know exactly where to go into. You know that they would hire you like that. And that's what happens at a lot of these sites. So there's no real need to pay a premium or for the staff member or the employee to pay an arbitrage. So that's the first example. It doesn't work like a CRA model would work because a CRA is not necessarily a local thing. A CRA is national, and you're talking about employers that are not local dependent. Like, yeah, they'll want a Southern California regional or a Dallas-based regional, whatever, Phoenix-based, but it's not like a neighborhood local thing, like a study coordinator. Plus, the CRA work, there's a lot more arbitrage opportunities because the salary range is pretty wide. And what counts as monitoring experience versus what doesn't, when it comes to coordinating, everybody knows if I'm an employer and I'm paying an agency to bring me a coordinator, I expect someone, I'm paying a premium, I expect a turnkey solution. And on top of all that, because we kind of want the best of both worlds, we don't want to pay a lot. And on top of all that, I'm still afraid as a site owner that they're bringing their company's culture, the former company culture, to my site. Now, many times that's something that's desired. Like, wow, this person worked over there. Yeah, we can use some of that knowledge over here. More often than not, though, it's, hey, I've got a good thing I've built here. I don't know if I necessarily want that person here. And when that person's here, he's going to be telling them how things are done over there. It's going to get my staff curious and all this kind of stuff. So it's a lot more complex and nuanced. The interpersonal elements, the emotional elements of everything at a site level as opposed to at a CRO. I think at a CRO, this is where the recruitment agencies make their money because there's less emotions involved, and everyone understands that. The CRO understands that, the CRA understands that. Oftentimes they even consider themselves like, you know, I'm a proud contractor. I'll work for anyone in this space. I'm like a Navy SEAL. I'll go in there and fix things. Whereas at a site, that's not really the attitude. That's not really the culture. You want someone, especially if I'm paying a premium, I want someone at my site that's going to last a long time at my site and that's going to help me build a better culture, not show my employees how other sites do it, and bring the worst elements of those things and then get them curious about testing the waters themselves. So at CROs, you don't have that issue as much, and at sites, you do. And this is why I take it from a site owner. I've tried. Nobody wants to go through the hiring process. Nobody wants to go through the 3 to 6 month learning curve. And then maybe you have a coordinator who doesn't screw things up when you put them with their first patient. I think I figured out a way to train staff and identify talent quickly. And then I have at my site, at least today, I have 2 trajectories basically. We're working on 3. I have everyone starts as a research assistant, so there's no pressure. If you're doing well at the coordinating job, you're going to become a coordinator. Or if you're showing propensity to do well as a coordinator, you're going to be a coordinator. If not, you're going to remain an assistant, an admin, a kind of utility player doing everything. Hopefully, you're able to draw some blood. I do like to hire phlebotomists or CNAs or medical assistants that have phlebotomy experience, because at least at the floor level, you know that they can do that, and you can teach them lab processing and things like that. So like the risk for me, the risk reward is not high enough, even though I hate, we're going to go through this on Monday. We're sitting through 10 interviews on Monday because we're losing a coordinator and we need someone desperately. And I'm still not going to hire a recruitment agency to bring in my staff. First of all, I know where I'm located. They're not here, so they're going to have to relocate. I already know if they're going to have to relocate, I'm going to have to pay them much more than I'm paying all my other staff. That's going to cause a lot of friction. That's going to cause potentially issues within the culture of, well, why aren't we getting paid this and that? So you're bringing like external elements outside of our region into Yuma. So unless we get lucky and run across someone who has had research experience before, we're getting a phlebotomist or medical assistant who I can recognize, hopefully, some potential in training them, just like we did all of our other staff. Luis, Katie, Lana, Grecia, Daisy, Desiree, and everyone else that was here in the meantime as well. So, and I don't have to pay an arbitrage. I pay Indeed a couple $100. I get some resumes. Me and Jaime and Human Resources go to work. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what you think. If you're at a site network, are you guys using recruiters? I think maybe for like higher level jobs, but not for coordinators. That's what I hear. Bye-bye.